Chapter 52. You fucking parasitic monster. Theodora screeches, following up her first punch with an immediate second. The blows are amateurish, but more than enough to knock the slime revenant flat. 153 hours, 13 minutes and 43 seconds, I know. The slime revenant snaps back, her old man's body seemingly no more frail than Theodora's young one. They are, after all, both equally dead. You never shut up about it. I don't know how you got free, but... Theodora breaks through the slime's guard and socks her in the jaw, shutting the former parasite up. The slime tackles her and responds, knocking over the table and slamming both of them into the floor. Why can't I swim back into you? Penelope coughs politely, glancing at me. Shouldn't you stop them? I watch the fight for a bit, the savage blows between the two undead breaking bloodless skin. Nah, I say, shaking my head slowly. Theodora kinda earned this. They can sort out their differences. Penelope follows my gaze, nodding back. True enough. It does seem like a cathartic way to greet one's torturer. You're not gonna beat me up, are you, Mom? Vitamin asks impishly. No, silly. I tell her, reaching up to tickle her sides. I already killed you. We're totally even. My dead daughter giggles, though I doubt it's because the corpse she inhabits is actually ticklish. Penelope gives us an odd stare as the vicious brawl continues across the floor next to us. Vita, did you adopt the slime that tried to take over your body? Yep. I answer happily. Well, posthumously. But she's a little kid with all my memories, and she calls me Mom, and... Why no. It fits, right? She's mine. And you're mine. Vitamin declares, grinning down at me. Goodness, this is only going to end well, Penelope deadpans. What is with you and doting on inhuman horrors? I shrug. My soul has tentacles, Penelope. I'm pretty sure I'm an inhuman horror. I just kinda empathize with that, you know? You're as human as anyone I've ever met, Vita, Penelope insists. I've done very thorough scans. Your body is perfectly normal, you just have a rare talent. Yeah, but my soul is weird. And when you think about it, my soul is more me than my body is. I cut myself off, attention suddenly snapping to the fight. Human Theodora just smacked slime Theodora hard enough to shatter a few of the old man bones in her body. That by itself doesn't seem like it's worth caring too much about. But as the impact hit, I felt slime Theodora's soul crack as well, prompting a hoarse scream of pain. Stop, I order, my voice freezing both revenants immediately. Human Theodora stands above her former captor, 1 foot poised to crash into the slime revenant's ribs again. They both stare at me with the kind of fearful, guilty expression Lynn's little ones make when they're caught hoarding food. Taking Vitamin off my shoulders, I walk over, shooing Human Theodora out of the way. I kneel down next to the former slime so I can poke at her soul with my tendrils. It's not shattered or broken or anything, just cracked. How do you feel? I ask. It hurts. The revenant whimpers. Vita, what's happening? Why can't I leave this body? Why doesn't it have memories? So she's still lucid, even when damaged. The crack doesn't look very deep. But the question is, why did the soul crack at all? A physical blow shouldn't have affected an intangible thing like a soul, right? You're not a slime anymore, I tell her. You're undead. Now shush, I'm investigating. I carefully pull the soul out of the corpse, the many blood vessel-like growths that are spread across the body detaching bit by bit, staying connected to the soul's core as I remove it. They remind me of my tendrils a little, but much thinner and more interconnected. More like a lattice of vines, really. These structures seem to exert force on the inside of the body, allowing the revenants to move without ever using their muscles. I hold out the soul towards Human Theodora. Can you see or touch what I'm holding? I ask. She reaches out, her own hand passing right through the soul. I see nothing, she answers promptly. I nod. So soul contact isn't some property of revenants. I put the soul back inside the body, the slime Theodora waking up with a terrified gasp soon afterwards. What could it be? How is the soul being touched? I absently scratch an itch with one of my tendrils, and funnily enough that's how I figure it out. I grab and hold the tentacle, then yank. Ow! I yelp. Everyone gives me a weird look, but I don't care. I get that now. Since the soul is exerting force on the body to move it, the body can still exert force on the soul as well. The vine lattice of soul stuff that grows inside a revenant's body can be damaged or torn if the parts of the body it's attached to are damaged or torn. So with enough force, your souls might shatter if you get hurt too bad, I announce. I won't be able to bring you back from that, so no more fighting. Human Theodora raises a shaky finger in Slime Theodora's direction. This thing controlled your body and thereby mentally tortured you for days, I know. I answer, cutting her off. Which is why I let you beat the shit out of her. Well, congrats, you cracked her soul. That's going to hurt like a bitch and I don't know how to fix it. So we're done now, okay? You don't have to like each other, but no more fighting. She scowls, but nods. Turning her head, she tries to spit on Slime Theodora, though to her obvious irritation she doesn't have saliva. Right. Well, with it out of the way, I'd like to brief everyone as to what we're actually doing here, Penelope announces, stepping in. We're not only blaspheming for the fun of it. This is our immortality research facility. While pure biomancy-based immortality should be possible, the cooperation of metamancers such as yourselves, and potentially animancers, once we start to reverse engineer Vita's abilities, should speed up the process dramatically. My personal goals include the ability to make living, artificial bodies to put souls in as well, I add. It's the best way I can think of to help the Nora. Have their souls inside me, by the way. Nice and safe. Penelope nods, while Slime Theodora's eyes go wide. One will help lead to the other, I think, Penelope agrees. It should be invigorating research. Not to mention research I hope will uplift our people and our country to ever greater prosperity. I have faith that our collection of magical genius here, and me, Vitamin adds, should be up to the task. Wait. Hold on, Slime Theodora stammers. I feel like I'm missing a lot of context. I'm dead? Vita is a necromancer? And you? Are you even a Nora? I am not, Penelope answers with a smile. And never was, from the moment you met me. Vita is the same. Her eyes go even wider. But Vita, you still want to help us? The devotion radiating from her eyes as she stares at me is delicious. At least Slime Theodora is easy. No, wait. I should be disturbed at how easy. She's conveniently forgetting I killed her and her whole family in the first place. My shard within her pulses, filtering and feeding feelings to the woman who has all the memories of her much more willful counterpart, but none of the experience that gives her the self-control to question. Although, since I have them both here, I do. First order of business, though, Theodora. Both Theodoras tilt their head at me, awaiting command. I point at the former slime in the old man's body. You need a new name. Sorry. Human Theodora had it first, and it'll be confusing otherwise. You wanna be Theodora? We kinda put you in a man. No, she answers, shuddering. I'm a woman, thank you. Wrinkly, cold dick or otherwise. Penelope snorts with amusement as I wince. How graphic. Still, I kinda figured she'd feel that way, for some reason. Okay. How about Thea? Dora. I've always been partial to the name Marguerite, actually, she answers, thumb and forefinger on her chin. I've always been partial to that name. Theodora snaps. Yes, imagine that, Marguerite replies, smirking a little. I chuckle, shaking my head. Ah, Nora. Right, well. Theodora and Marguerite, it's good to officially meet you. What do you two think our first step should be? They glance at each other, and after only a brief pause they answer at the same time. Metal. Metal, huh? I guess it makes sense. It's some kind of mana-gatherer and amplifier, and we're here to do lots of big magic. That's going to be difficult, Penelope murmurs, I've set all this up to be inconspicuous so far, but if I even try to buy metal, we're instantly going to be under scrutiny. Which normally wouldn't be a problem, but we have 3 revenants and an animancer in the basement, I finish. Yeah, that's not ideal. What do we need it for? Ironically, to hide the 3 revenants and the animancer in the basement, Theodora answers. We'll have to continually reapply the masking enchantments since they are not metallically anchored, and any mistakes during that process could temporarily disable them, Marguerite continues. Which wouldn't be an instant death sentence, but the frequency at which we'll be doing this means that eventually, someone will notice, Theodora finishes, glaring at her counterpart. I nod, frowning. That does seem pretty important. Can't Grandma help? Vitamin asks, staring up at me with her head tilted. Straight black hair frames her hollow cheeks in a way that I've seen way too many times before. The poor girl she's wearing was almost a skeleton before she died. Still, I can't help but grin when she calls Lynn Grandma. I've no doubt she's doing it on purpose. Well, I don't know a better way to get illegal metal than Lynn the metal thief, I agree. We'll have to see if she can safely slip us some. I wish Melik were here, Theodora grumbles. Wait, you didn't tell the Templars about his talent, did you? We didn't, no, I confirm. Is that how you got all the metal for your tattoos? He found it. She nods. Interesting. Well, he's 7 days and change away, so we'll call him a solid plan B. I guess I'm heading back home, then. After I change into my armor. Penelope nods, fishing some kind of round token out from between her breasts and handing it to me. Head back to the badhouse and give them this, they'll return both our old outfits to you. Would you be a dear and drop mine off at the Hunters Guild? I accept the token, shrugging. I need to go back there to change and store this weird dress anyway. Are they even going to let me back into Rich Bitchland? I ask. They will let you into the central city with the token, yes. Say you're a servant for House Erebus if questioned, but looking as beautiful as you do they're unlikely to find fault with you. I feel a bit of flushing in my cheeks. Why does that matter? Penelope shrugs. Because that's the way the world works. We talked about this. Now go on and quit staring at me like that. It's just a compliment. It's certainly not the kind of compliment I was expecting, though. People have traditionally had zero cause to appreciate my appearance, being a half-starved gremlin and all. I've occasionally been called cute after getting a bit more meat on my bones, but never beautiful. Vitamin sniggers at me, hand over her mouth to cover her incorrigible grin. Love you, Mom. Tell Grandma and Grandpa I said hi. Damn it. I've spent ages trying to get people to not treat me as a kid, but now I feel like I'm being treated as way too old. I shuffle out in a hurry, Penelope immediately starting a massively nerdy conversation with the Metamancer twins behind me. I quickly make my way to Rich Bitchland, avoiding eye contact with as many people as possible. Working around in this dress is making me way more self-conscious when I'm alone than when I had Penelope next to me to steal all the attention. I give the token to the badhouse staff as instructed, carrying our armor out in tendril-supported arms. Man, everything is easier when I can bolster my body like this. Looking busy and walking fast seems like enough of a reason for people to avoid bothering me, and eventually I'm back at the guild, heading upstairs to my shared room. Vita. Hey. Where have you? Whoa-ho. What are you wearing, girl? Hey, Nora, I respond, walking in to drop the armor on my bed for sorting. Sorry to dump the mission report on you and the boys. Oh, you better be sorry if you went to the baths without me. I'm hurt, Vita. Truly, I am. The dark-skinned woman's grin indicates she may not actually be that hurt, as she walks over to me in her usual white undershorts and tank top. Yeah, I murmur. Sorry. I'll make it up to you. Somehow. Later. It wasn't really all fun and games, though. How are the luxurious bedhouses not all fun and games? She asks, grabbing some of Penelope's armor and helping me put it away. Penelope basically bought me? I think? I'm apparently a slave, and I had to go meet her fiancé. A bunch of shit with the Templars happened on our not really that secret mission to Lisha, and... yeah. Nora tilts her head, scowling. Wow. That's... a slave? Really? Can't you just tell her to fuck off? Without the protection of a noble house mucking up their ability to press and investigation, I'll get framed for some big crime. A bunch of politics happened, I don't know. But I think we're at least kinda friends now? She stuck her neck out to save me and stuff. Literally walked in front of a sword, so... I can't really complain too much. Finished with Penelope's stuff, I start to peel my dress off, followed quickly by the fucking bra. The padding on my armor is just fine, damn it. I start redressing for combat. The slums may not be as dangerous as outside the walls, but I'm not going to be the idiot that thinks that means they are safe. Although in truth, I have very little to fear from most people there. Still, Vita. That's pretty wild. You'll have to tell me the long version of that story sometime. I bet you're happy to get out of the dress, at least. Extremely, I agree. Not being in armor just makes me nervous. If a person has the option to wear it, why wouldn't they? Nora just chuckles, shaking her head. Not for any reason I suspect you care about, but most people have different priorities from you. You're the odd duck out, Vita. Still, I find it hard to believe the Templars would try to frame you for something. They are super honorable. I shrug. As much of an asshole Gladra was, the truth is that I probably did cause that perception event. While I think it's absurd to kill me over that, I'm just going to stay away from the damage. It's not that hard. I can see the Templars' logic, at least. That tentacle. I shake my head, strapping on the last of my armor and securing my knives and spear. I've started carrying 2 knives lately, to have a backup for my backup. I have a new spear as well, to replace the one that Slim has tossed off the island trying to kill Penelope. A long shaft of shaped and sharpened chitin, the weapon is sturdy and apparently quite expensive. A substantial improvement from my last one. Finally, I dig into my bed and retrieve Roscoe, giving him a massive squeeze before securing him once again. Ah, still safe and sound. Welp, see ya, Nora, I say, nodding to my teammate. Leaving already? A slave's life is busy, huh? Yeah, I guess so. I exit the Hunters Guild again, setting out to go visit my family for the 2nd time today. Geez, I'm so tired. I still haven't gotten a proper rest from our last mission, but today is a damn long one, and even after the tail end of our excursion this morning there's still another 9 hours before Needlestone passes over for a brief nighttime. Still, I have a stock of small monster souls from our fights in the forest. They are little more than cheap snacks to me now, but they're still damn tasty and they help keep me awake. I suppose, since I'm going home, I may as well buy them food again. A collection of meals later, I make my way through the back alleys of the city, avoiding the pleading gazes of dozens of beggars. They aren't dying, they don't need me. When I make it home, however, I'm annoyed to find I don't feel Lynn or Rowan's souls at the shack. The kids rush out to meet me, and I ask one of them, Normal? No, right, his name is Norman. Where the dynamic duo is. Lynn and Rowan are out with the Drakens again, Norman answers, picking his nose. They are not around a lot anymore. I scowl. No one has come by to bother you guys while they're away, have they? Norman shrugs. Sometimes. People will beat us up or steal food or whatever. We just pretend we ate it. My tentacles snap outward, anger flaring. Some bastards are trying to take advantage of my family. I'll kill them later, I promise. Norman steps back. Okay, he says. Thanks again for the food, Vita. No problem, I answer through clenched teeth, turning around to head out. I'll return in a bit, maybe tonight when at least Rowan is all but sure to be around. I also make a note to remember every soul around my home. When I'm not so exhausted, I'll find the assholes that are apparently beating up kids. I don't have to put up with shit like that anymore, so I'm not going to. Soon enough, however, I notice 2 familiar souls heading my way as I return to the guild. Squigs and frigs. I change my route and they follow. Well, fine, if they're going to be annoying, I may as well find out what they want to extort from me today. Changing my course again, I walk right towards them. Vita. Frigs calls when we see each other, the short, fat man raising his arms welcomingly. Just the young woman we were hoping to see. We heard you were back in town, and I'm here to tell you, the boss wants a word. The boss? Do they mean boss of the Dracons? Or perhaps just a boss? Ah, well. I'm down either way. I have some choice words. And I need some illegally sourced metal anyway. Sure, I answer. Lead the way. Squigs and frigs look at each other. Well, Squigs comments, that was easy. Chapter 53. This is a lark story, content yet seeking more. Shut up. The lark flies. Farfushy. Loves naught but to explore. Shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. No, I say, turning my head in the direction of the noise. It's a good sound, no. Refusal. Negation. Denial. A sound that means things. Easy and fun to say. When I started losing the hard shell around my body, at first I was afraid. I still am a little, but at least a mouth like this makes the noises much easier to make. And besides, my teeth are as sharp as ever. I return to practicing the fun sounds, to the irritated groans of my two favorite meals. I don't understand most of what they're saying, but I'll remember it. Someday, I'll figure out what the sounds mean, and then I'll know. This is all your fault, the loud one hisses. I'm sorry, the beautiful one answers. I figured out a numbing spell, at least. Are you feeling better? Fuck you. Figure out a plague spell and kill us already. I'm sorry, the beautiful one says again. The loud one usually says Claretta at some point when speaking to it. Likewise, the beautiful one will say Fulvia when talking to the other. Never the reverse. Most sounds are said by both, or not said often enough for me to tell. Those are different. I wonder why. The loud one is horribly, horribly annoying, but particularly delicious, so I need to make sure it lives. Sometimes I try to make it shut up. I even tried binding its face in webs, but the beautiful one tends to start making horrible noises too when I do things like that. It rather defeats the point of keeping it if it doesn't make the healing sounds, so I have to stop. Oh, well. This is easily still the most wonderful part of my short life. Truly, it can't get better than this. Not unless I manage to collect more of these interesting creatures. Soon I tire of practicing noises, crawling over the beautiful one to rest on its belly. Warm and soft, I quite enjoy descending into torpor on it. These strange creatures tend to lose awareness when they rest, which seems silly. How did such creatures survive before they had me to protect them? I let my eyes close, thoughts drifting off and heartbeat slowing. The relaxing bob of my sleeping spot as it inhales and exhales inevitably causes my mind to wander. The first movement, the first feeling, is a fall. Adrenaline rising, heart pumping, the thing which does not know to call itself me feels the drop. The tumble. The instinctive fear, without apparent cause or context. Only an inexplicable knowledge that sometime soon, there would be a crunch. Pain, horrible pain. Crashing endlessly, head over heels, more falls and more crunches follow. Broken and bruised, the beast that would one day recognize itself to be me vomits fluids from its lungs, gasping its first painful breaths. Eyes blink open, liquid gunk and blood getting wiped away as I take my first look at the world. A massive mound of stacked black ovoids lie before me, cracked and smashed. Many still fall, some surviving the trip to the ground largely unscathed, but others impacting on the mound and shattering, disgorging some kind of black creature that stirs a new instinct within me. Hunger. I try to leap towards my meal, only to have pain shoot through my body as one of the limbs I'm apparently supposed to use for the purpose fails to function. It's twisted and leaking in ways quite unlike the limb opposite to it. I feel no desire to care about this in the slightest, simply noting it before dragging myself over to my meal. It squirms and oozes, a long, black carapace with many twitching, spindly bits extending off of it. I enjoy the sight of motion. It whets my appetite. Leaning over the creature, I open my mouth wide and bite down, crunching through chitin and savoring the delicious, juicy prize within. Pleasure fills me as I swallow, but is gone in an instant. My hunger is unabated. Bite after bite, I tear into my prize as it writhes beneath me, relishing the intense joy of the meal for instant after instant, mouthful after mouthful. The experience only makes me want more. Caught in frenzy, I eat and eat until suddenly my teeth sink through flesh and feel no joy in the act. I look down, indignant and furious. More than half my meal still remains, and I am still hungry. Yet I feel no desire to eat it. I take another bite, experimentally tasting and swallowing. But there is nothing. The creature does not move or resist. It is now dead, and for some reason no longer contains what I was eating it for in the first place. Examining the creature, I notice it is the same dark color as both myself and the ovoid from which it dropped out of. Despite our identical color, however, I look nothing like the other creature. Where it is somewhat cylindrical and many-legged, my body is a much different shape, and only 6 limbs. Yet did I, too, hatch from an egg like this? It seems likely I did. I remember tumbling out of something, after all. Perhaps one of the cracked, black things above me? Sure enough, many of the others begin to hatch, dispensing dark-colored yet wildly different creatures that I somehow know are fresh and full of the beautiful, joyous something that I must eat. I try to pounce on one again, and to my belated surprise, it works perfectly this time. My broken limb now looks the same as my others. Eating must have fixed it. How pleasant! Teeth tearing into my prey, I resume gorging myself, shuddering at the delicious splashes of satisfaction that briefly overwhelm my endless hunger with each swallow. Yet this meal is feistier, seeming inclined to bite back. I yelp in surprise as its teeth sink into me in turn, gouging a bleeding chunk from my forelimb in much the same way I'm doing to it. So we are similar, even though we look different. Not that I spent much time thinking about it. Prey is prey. Wrestling the struggling food to the ground, I take more bites from its belly as I hold its face in the dirt. Such wonderful flavor. Pain shoots through me from behind. Another one of my kin is attacking me as well. I kick furiously, trying to shake it off. I am eating. Leave me be. My angry jabs don't dissuade it in the slightest. It's a hulking thing, standing on 2 back limbs and swinging sharp forelimbs that threaten to cut straight through my chitin. I'm forced to turn my attention to fighting it. And when I do, my former meal bites at my leg. Slowly, I come to the realization that many inky-skinned creatures are emerging from eggs around me, screeching and fighting and bleeding and gnawing. 2 more head my way now, even. My belly cares not. Stay and fight. Stay and eat. Hissing furiously, I throw myself into the fray, biting wildly at my enemies. My food. All is food. I will consume them to the last. One of my limbs is sheared clean off, but I tear into my target with vigor. Another joins me, stealing my meal, and yet another leaps on top of me, knocking me from my prize and tearing open my leg with their teeth. Suddenly, I am the one being eaten. A powerful limb holds my head down, my teeth snapping in vain as large chunks of my body are torn out, black blood dripping from the serrated fangs of my tormentor. I have to eat them back. I must, but I cannot move. No matter how I thrash and flail, I cannot free myself. Again and again, teeth tear into my side. Pain and fear join my hunger, and something beyond mere flesh is torn from me with every bite. Soon, I will also lack what makes me a proper meal. Soon, I will also stop flailing and fail to move. No, I don't want this. I refuse. 2 more of my kin jump on the one eating me, knocking it away. The 3 of them engage in a flurry of deadly teeth, leaving me a moment alone. So many more of us rush down from the rapidly hatching pile of eggs. I turn over, 1 limb missing, blood oozing from the half-dozen absent hunks of flesh. Yet still, my hunger screams at me to join the fray. I refuse it. I must refuse it. I do not want to become empty of the thing that brings joy. I do not want to cease moving. Crawling desperately, I stagger across the ground, splashing the brown and green terrain with black. Panicked and frightened, I move as far as I possibly can, panting gasps of air as my burning body refuses to travel a single step more. Where do I go? What do I do? I'm so hungry. So very, very hungry. Something twitches, and my eyes lock onto it immediately. A many-legged thing, like my first meal, suspends itself in the air, hiding in a nook of brown above me. It is not black, matching instead the colors of the large, brown and green things around me that do not smell like food. This new creature crawls slowly towards me on 8 legs, though I cannot see what it crawls on. Perhaps the air itself, though air has never given my legs purchase. This seems profoundly unfair, and so I decide to eat it. I do not move, because moving causes me pain and my meal seems inclined to approach me. Ever so slowly, I watch it get closer. Ever so slowly, it places itself in range to be consumed. Eventually, it lunges for me. I lunge back. My lunge is better. Delicious, delicious, delicious. This thing tastes far better than my kin. Gleefully, I tear into it, though it survives barely a few bites before its flavor becomes foul. I'm not disappointed by this for long, however, as many more like it descend down around me. I'm afraid, as the last time I fought outnumbered it brought me into this state in the first place. These creatures are barely half my size, though, and the other one I just ate was quite weak. More importantly, I really don't like all this black liquid I'm leaking. I don't like it at all. I want to eat some things so it stops falling out. Also, I'm hungry. I'm always hungry, without exception. The pain, the need to gnaw and feast never leaves except for the barest moments when I swallow prey. Even now, the infinite emptiness rages within me, demanding I kill both my prizes. I will not, though. The loud one and the beautiful one are special. Far better tasting than the 8-legged creatures, although I have to admit I much prefer the webs I became able to make from devouring them than this softness I'm getting from my current prizes. I ate the 8-legged creatures for many sky grounds before acquiring my favorite traits of theirs, to my great surprise and delight. These 4-limbed creatures taste better, but their traits are less desirable. Ah, well. I like them anyway. Stretching, I rouse from my rest, that constant ravenousness driving me to move again at last. I suspect I will not need to go far for a meal, however. My traps have caught many targets, hung and waiting for my jaws. As I crawl off my bed, however, the armor around my forelimbs cracks and crumbles, slowing off onto the ground. I screech in surprise, though the experience isn't painful, at least. Underneath my old arms are new ones, my 4 front limbs now each tipped with 5 tinier limbs. These are the structures the beautiful one used to have before I bit them off. No. I complain, scowling as I flex my new limbs. No, no, no. HHN. The loud one groans, peering my way. Oh, fuck, it has hands. I scowl. Hands. These soft, wiggly limb tips are going to be terrible for injuring prey. They are already uncomfortable to walk on, although thankfully my hind limbs have been getting better and better at balancing my full weight. I try to extrude my webs and, to my great relief, it seems each of my new limb tips have a tiny spinneret. I won't be able to make the webs as thick as I had before. Perhaps I can just use multiple thinner webs together. I will figure something out. Growling, I stagger as I try to stand on my hind limbs alone. They are getting stronger, but something about them still isn't quite right. I wander off with the assistance of my hands then, wincing as sharp rocks in the dirt press into them in ways I would have previously ignored. It's not long before I see something squirming in one of my many traps, and I happily free one of its limbs so I can better get my mouth around it. Limbs aren't the tastiest part of a creature's body, but that mostly doesn't matter. As soon as the creature dies, it loses all flavor. I don't know why, but that's how it is. I can't eat something when it can no longer move. So I've Experimented. I'd rather have more bites than just one good one, and biting off the extra dangly bits first always seems to be the best way to keep my prey twitching as long as possible. When I take out the central bits with all the weird meat inside, it tends to make the prey no longer move, and then it tastes awful. Many more ground skies pass over like this, with my time spent listening to the beautiful one's noises while the loud one complains, soaking in every last sound they make while I nibble away at their ever-regrowing extremities. Today, water streams from the eyes of the loud one as I feast on it, something that hasn't happened in quite a while. I wonder what it means. Am I making them drink too much? I don't remember, the loud one whispers, its voice odd. Perhaps affected by the eye water? What? Fulvia. The beautiful one turns its head to look at its companion. What don't you remember? Their names. My meal moans. I don't remember their names. Whose names? Fulvia. Fulvia, listen to me. Look at me, please. Claretta, I can't feel it anymore. It's eating me, but I can't feel it. Fulvia, I've already cast the numbing spell. Remember? The loud one has been continually getting more and more annoying, and frankly its taste is also getting worse. Perhaps the beautiful one's songs aren't enough to keep the flavor. I may have to kill them after all. I don't want to do that. I move to the next budding lemnoob, the beautiful one halting its less interesting noises in order to sing what made my favorite meal. Well, the beautiful one. The loud one is losing flavor, but I don't want to kill it. Would I want it if it has no flavor at all? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I finish my meal, walking over to and curling up on the beautiful one again. The pair of them remind me of flowers. I still remember the first time my life stopped being a constant fight for food and survival. Once I had eaten whole nests of the eight-legged creatures and had no other food to consume or flee from. I took a look, for the first time, at the world around me. At the beautiful yellow sky, the brown and green ground, and flecked among all of it the patches of vibrant color that captured my attention. They, too, I could not eat, but I loved them anyway. Yet whenever I tried to move one, to take it with me, it would lose its beauty just a few sky grounds later. Is that why the loud one loses flavor now? Did I move it too far? Oh, another thought. Maybe the beautiful one could heal flowers. Fulvia, the beautiful one murmurs. Fulvia, please say something. Only silence answers it. The loud one sleeps. It's been doing more of that lately, too. Fulvia. I'm sorry. I can't give up on you. Please. Please don't leave me. Water starts leaking from the beautiful one's eyes as well. Fulvia. Please. You're all I have. I rise up, curious now. Walking forward on my greatest prize's chest, I place one of my tiny hands up high on its cheek, patting at the water. What? I ask, Fulvo. The beautiful one's eyes go wide, locking onto me immediately. What did you say? I don't quite understand. Confusion for confusion, I think? What? Fulvia. I repeat, taking more time and care with the sounds. Gee, that's Fulvia. It answers, motioning its head towards the loud one. I point that way as well. Fulvia. I confirm. Yes. Yes. Oh God, you're not just parroting. You understand. Please. Let us go, please. I tap the beautiful one's mouth with my hand until it stops making noises. I don't know what all that means. It sounds like Fulvia is a term for the loud one, though. Interesting. So if I'm guessing right. Fulvia, I say, pointing at the loud one. Then, I point at the beautiful one. Claretta? Yes. It answers. I am Claretta. Ooh. That was the first time the beautiful one said Claretta. I think I'm onto something. Fulvia, I say, pointing to the Fulvia. Claretta, I say, pointing to the Claretta I'm standing on. The Claretta's eyes are alight with something. Its face is twisted in an expression I hadn't seen before. Yes, that's right. That's Fulvia, I'm Claretta. It motions at the Fulvia when saying Fulvia again. I'm right, I have to be. So next, I point at myself. What? I ask. The Claretta says nothing, its face moving into a new expression again. What? I demand again. I don't know, the Claretta answers. Fulvia, Claretta, I say, pointing at them. Then, back to me. I know? The Claretta moves its head back and forth. No, no. I don't know. Oh, it's using no. What I'm saying isn't right. What? I ask again, pointing at myself. I don't know. But that's the thing the Claretta just said is wrong. Ugh. What? I demand, teeth bared. What? 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 Lark. The Claretta blurts. Your name is Lark. If you want. Do you like that? What? Lark or Miss Larky if I want you like the is way too long of a thing to call myself. This food is crazy. Just the first part, though. Lark, I repeat, tasting the sound. The sound I've come to love more than any other. The music of the beautiful one. I am Lark. A new kind of warmth fills me, compelling me to bare my teeth in a much different way. I feel so good. The Claretta had been singing about me all along. Chapter 54, Fancy-looking place, I comment, staring up at the massively wide one-story building that apparently serves as the base for the Broken Dragons. I'm not entirely lying, either. Sure, the building is no lord's estate or anything, and that's certainly a fresh comparison in my mind after having been there this morning. Parts of the walls are cracked and stained, and patches of mold cling to whatever they can on the outside of the structure. To my sensibilities, though, it's still a high-class location, sitting at the fuzzy intersection of the city that separates everything else from what I consider to be my part of town. Comprised of wrought stone rather than clay or wood, it makes up for what it lacks in tallness with sturdiness. The two hired killers escorting me snort derisively. Based on the standards of power I'm now familiar with, I suspect they're fairly low rung for any group that specializes in murder. Cheap hires, but is that all the Dragons could afford or is it just all they need? They are above the average soul strength of the people in the building, although that's not really saying a lot. There are only 2 souls of any real interest inside. Either way, while Squigs and Friggs are now weaker than I am, they're far from incompetent. They certainly do a good job of tracking me down whenever they want to, and they're a lethal threat to any average person. A pair of tough-looking muscly dudes guard the door, but their souls are so small and uninteresting I barely bother to glance at them until one puts his hand out to block me from entering. "Weapons, please," he asks in that polite yet vaguely threatening way that I've known better than to disobey for most of my weak, helpless life. "No," I tell the man, glaring up at him. "I didn't recently commit a genocide just to be pushed around by this moron." The taller of the assassin pair puts a hand on my shoulder, prompting me to direct my glare his way. "It's just standard procedure, little lady," he insists in that greasy way of his. "We want to make sure these talks are safe for everyone." "Well, you'll be safer if you don't try to take my weapons," I answer, shrugging his hand off my shoulder. "I was invited here to talk, wasn't I? If you keep adding conditions to the conversation, I'm going to walk away." "Miss Vida," Friggs pipes up from the other side of me, his tone lacking the condescension of his counterpart, "I realize you are a hunter and a young woman of the streets, but my compatriot and I lack the authority to allow you unarmed. This is the faster way into the building, if you want to finish this business sooner. If not, we can certainly send your request higher up the chain, as it were." I frown, weighing the practicality against my desire to just get this over with. "I'm keeping my stuff," I eventually insist again. "I'm not talking to your boss without it." Friggs nods as if he expected that, turning to the door guard. "Would you kindly go explain the situation? The boss has requested this young lady's presence." The guard glances down and gives me the incredulous look of an idiot that doesn't realize I can kill him with a thought, though he heads inside without a word. I wait in silence for the guy to eventually return, nodding me inside. It's been obvious for a while where I'm going. The largest souls in the complex are huddled together in the same place, after all. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that's probably the boss and neither his right-hand men or bodyguards. There are only two I'm confident I won't be able to just casually pull out, though. I'm soon ushered into the same room as them, letting me put faces to the feelings. The room is large and almost circular, with only one obvious way in or out. The entirety of the architecture and utter lack of most furniture seems designed to draw attention to the giant chair in the back of the room, a twisted, lopsided thing carved of wood and far too large for its occupant, the first of the two large-souled people. He's obviously the boss, not only by nature of sitting in the fanciest chair but by how the others stand around him, ready to follow his commands at a whim. He's a profoundly feminine-looking man, with short-cropped black hair, a thin, green-eyed glare, and a pale face that's so impeccably clean-shaven I suspect he may not be able to grow a beard at all. Thin-framed and short, although still much taller than I am, as fucking usual, the chair is clearly designed to make him the tallest person in the room anyway, even when sitting down. His soul is white-hot, a glaring, painful brightness wrapped with spiky structures that curl towards each other like claws. Standing next to him among a collection of other people that don't really matter is a remarkably eye-catching young woman, partially because of her beauty but far more obviously because she has, for some insane reason, dyed her hair pink. Normally I'd assume it's some kind of kinemansy or particularly wacky biomancy that creates the change in hair color, but it's very obviously dye since, during the process, she seems to have splattered the left side of her face with the stuff. Pink splotches along her right cheek and around her eye mark what would otherwise be blemishless skin. An insane and careless use of expensive dyes made ever more wasteful by having not even been applied correctly. I'm certainly irritated by that, but her soul manages to be so eye-catching I only give it a passing thought. One half of it is a dark, navy blue, cool and swirling like the mist below and clouds above. The other half is a deep black, though in a different sort of way than my eggshell had been. My darkness had been not just a lack of light, but the negation of it, a place warded from being seen. Conversely, the black of this woman's soul is of depth, of vastness, like a cavern inside the island that stretches from end to end. These two halves have a jagged crack between them, like someone broke a rock in twain and rotated one part before trying to put it back together. They do not fit with each other, and between them, in those minuscule, crumpled, grinding cracks a third color grows. A festering purple, dripping and writhing like ooze. I've met a fellow monster. So then, you must be Vita, the boss says, and I'm a little startled to hear his voice sound exactly like a woman's. That's jarring. He's a man, right? I'm certain he's a man. Didn't someone tell me that, or something? I must be Vita, I agree blandly. I'm flattered to be brought to see you directly, sir. He raises an eyebrow, glare quirking into a smile. Oh. Well, you know how it is. A nobody kid with a volcanic rise in power like yours. In my territory. I'm always interested in the story of a person like that. Volcanic? I ask, raising an eyebrow. I've never heard the word. Ah, perhaps I should say explosive, the boss explains. The point is, you're growing fast. You've obviously awakened to quite the killer talent. I am, of course, in the business of recruiting such talent from our kind of background. I look around the room, unimpressed. Not much of a business if he only has one other person. The inhuman soul of the pink-haired woman starts to stir and I lock my third eye on it. She's not about to blast me, is she? What do you mean, our kind of background? The slums, the boss answers, eyes piercing as he reads my reaction. The streets. The background of starving with nothing while those with everything continue to take. I snort incredulously, glaring up at him. Fuck, the chair is designed to look like a throne, isn't it? I just got that. You just look like one of the people that take to me, I answer flatly. Lynn and Rowan don't even have enough time to protect their own kids from thugs anymore. Is that so? The boss asks, his soul pulsing fury like a sudden gout of flame. Well, it's a busy time for everyone in the Drakens right now, but I can give them some time off if it's needed. I scowl. Just like that? I'm instantly suspicious. As if to confirm those suspicions, purple threads start to slide out of the cracks in the pink-haired woman's soul, snaking slowly towards me as they grow in length. "And what do you want in return?" I asked the boss. He just gives me a confused look. "In return for giving a valued employee the time she needs to manage her family affairs." "Nothing whatsoever. I don't usually oversee every employee's schedule personally, but I will certainly check with management on the matter." Ugh, he's so prim and proper. Yet in a weird, mocking way, as if it's some kind of private joke. He wears a fancy nobleman's suit, yet with the shirt untucked and the collar up. I've never seen an actual noble wear it like that, and I'm not sure what it means. Fashion is about the opposite of my thing. "I see," I murmur. "Well, on the subject of employees." "Who is that?" I point at the pink-haired woman. While multiple tough-looking guards flank the boss of the Drakens, she is the only one that stands directly next to the boss's fancy chair. She smiles vacantly in my direction, her apparent mirth masking the intense concentration I feel in her soul. Presumably, her focus is on extending her pathetic excuses for soul tendrils. Well, perhaps I shouldn't call them tendrils. They are not really anything like mine, being far longer and almost imperceptibly thin. Though they are soul structures, they are clearly not designed for grabbing, holding, or pulling other souls. Especially noteworthy to me, however, is that she does not seem to be casting. Her fingers do not move, she makes no sound with her voice. The purple bits of her soul, and only the oozy purple bits, thrum with the use of a talent. I am, perhaps, not alone. "Oh, please excuse my rudeness," the boss exclaims, smiling jovially. "I haven't even introduced everyone. I am Sky, the leader of the Broken Drakens. This is Capita, my right-hand woman. And this is..." I stop paying attention. "Capita, huh?" I wait patiently as her purple threads finish leaking out of the crack in her soul, trying to worm their way into my body to reach at mine. To my surprise they pass in easily, barely even pinging my magic resistance. I probably wouldn't have even felt them if I hadn't been watching. I don't have any intention of letting them complete whatever they are trying to do, however. Wrapping my tendrils around the threads, I gather them up and yank. They break off from Capita's soul with all the resistance of a cobweb. The young woman's pleasant smile evaporates as she staggers forward, clutching at her chest. I pull her detached soul threads the rest of the way inside my body, slurping them up like anima spaghetti. They dissolve within me, destroyed utterly, reduced to nothing but power. It's not even a remotely filling snack, but at least the taste is interesting. I've found another animancer. I shoot her a pleasant smile not unlike the one she gave me, though on the inside I'm very annoyed. This whole debacle probably outs me as an animancer to the Drakens as well, but what the fuck am I going to do, just let her stick her gross soul hairs into me? No thanks. Now that I'm stuck in this situation, I may as well establish dominance in it. By all means, my smile says. Try that again. I'm always happy to take a free meal. "Capita?" the boss inquires, noticing his underling's reaction. "I don't appreciate being invited here and having spells cast on me, Mr. Sky," I say coldly. Tension passes through the room as everyone in it starts to become aware that Capita and I had a magical exchange that nobody else even noticed was happening. And I won. Capita's soul is huge, certainly larger than mine and perhaps even Penelope's. Sky's is similar, though a bit smaller. But if Capita is just going to send tiny threads at me instead of bringing that full soul to bear, I have more than enough strength to stop her. "My most sincere apologies," Sky says smoothly, languidly pulling his gaze from Capita back to me. "It won't happen again." "Yeah, I bet." "So, what do you want from me?" I ask plainly. "I want you to join the Drakens," Sky answers, matching my tone. "Well," I drawl, "you haven't exactly made a very good impression so far. And I'm pretty damn busy nowadays. So I think I'm going to say no." Vita, the boss of the Drakens, begins, steepling his fingers. "I grew up starving in the slums I now call my territory, just like you did. From what I know about you, You came into sudden power and decided to use it, pulling your family up out of the jaws of death with strength alone. A hunter. A truly dangerous job, but one you have clearly taken to with aplomb. But you could do so much more. I roll my eyes. By all means, enlighten me. Sky doesn't seem to take offense, only leaning forward with apparent excitement. Thanks to you, your family prospers. With me, you can help make the whole city prosper. Do what you're doing to your family, but for everyone. Really, I growl. You're helping the city? The slums? I have lived here my entire life, and I have never once seen the Drakens do anything remotely helpful for anybody. You've been extorting and sucking money up from my family since before I met them. The boss raises a thin eyebrow. I have indeed been sucking up money, as you put it, but there has never been extortion involved. The man of your house simply gambles all your money away. That's hardly my fault. I blink, suddenly struck dumb for words as the anger I've built up for this conversation falls over and sputters. Rowan. Yes, that's his name. Sky agrees, snapping his fingers. Rowan. He's a gambling addict, my dear. Why do you think I keep such a talented individual at the lowest rung of our organization? We can't tell him anything important. Why, I bet almost anyone could just come along and bribe him into spying for them, what with how much he owes us. No. No way. I don't believe it. Rowan. He's literally a con artist, he knows gambling is a sham. And he's good. He's the one always worried about whether or not I'm doing something wrong with my powers, he's the one that brings home all the money that we buy food with. I mean, until I started doing that. And the amount he buys food with is always a lot less than the amount he keeps. And he is in debt to the Drakens. Holy shit, I'm going to murder him. Maybe not actually, but still. And that line Sky said about spying. Does he know? I recognize that your family isn't fond of me, Vita, Sky continues. And I recognize you have good reasons not to like me. I would simply like to change that. I snort. Seriously? This guy thinks it's that easy. He just wants to talk me into being cool with the people that fucked over my family for over a year. I don't understand. You really expect me to just be happy with you out of nowhere? You're not giving me any concrete reason to think you're anything you say to be. You don't care. You just want me now because I'm strong. You're not that strong, Sky counters, smiling. But at the rate you've been growing, I believe you will be. I won't deny that's why I want you. But I believe I have much to offer you as you have to offer us, perhaps even more. If, of course, you're willing to listen. Oh, I see now. You would get along really well with Penelope, I realize. I'm sorry. Sky asks, tilting his head and flashing an unamused smile. Penelope, I repeat. My teammate. Third Lady Penelope Vesuvius. You're a lot like her. The boss's face twists into sudden fury, and I feel talents activating from people all around the room. That was, apparently, the wrong thing to say. Chapter 55 I slip my tendrils inside of Squigs and Frigs, ready to instantly kill the two closest enemies to me if this becomes a fight. Two more tendrils prepare shards of my soul. Anyone that attacks me is going to switch sides. The Animancy Cat is likely already out of the bag, I will not hesitate to use it to save my life. No order to kill comes, however. Sky just glowers furiously down at me, his words like acid. You're saying I'm like a noble? He hisses. You're literally sitting on a throne, I counter. He blinks. I gesture once again to his ridiculously large, lopsided chair. It's ironic, he insists. It's not actually a throne. I'm being subversive. Anyway, you remind me of Penelope, yeah. Both of you frame trust as a transaction. Like oh yeah, I know I was a huge asshole in the past, but it's okay because I have stuff you want. It's kinda weird. What I have to offer you is a city without hunger, Sky insists, quickly losing patience. We will soon be strong enough that the nobles will be forced to listen to us. We will take their wealth and uplift our starving city into one that can actually prosper. I nod. I'd like that. As would I. Sky agrees, smiling. So we agree, then? I sigh. I guess I can hardly judge him for not getting it. I barely get it. I'm certainly no expert on human emotion. I don't understand why people do the things they do, why people think the way they think. So I'll spell it out for him. No, I say bluntly. We don't agree. Because I don't care how appealing the things you say you stand for are. I still remember seeing my mom come home with more broken bones than teeth. I still remember the nights without food because your people demanded repayment. I still remember who runs the rings that Rowan apparently gambles at. I don't care what you have to offer. Here's my offer, leave me and my family alone, don't give me any more reason to care about you, and I won't start turning your men into corpses. I could sure use more of them anyway. The tension of the room draws thicker as the severity of my threat sets in, the seriousness on my face matching the conviction in my soul. Squigs and Friggs silently draw their weapons on either side of me, but I'm ready if they come. These bastards will not touch my family any longer. I'm going to make sure of it. Vita, the man on the stupid throne, intones, his calm voice not matching the look of fury on his face, out of appreciation for our similar origins and how respectful you've been so far, I'm going to let that one threat slide. What? Had I been respectful? I thought I was being pretty purposefully obstinate. Regardless, the weapons get put away. I slide my tentacles back out of the bodies of those close to me. I think we can still be friends. I'm going to honor your request, and give you a week to see I'm a man of my word, Sky intones with mock magnanimousness. Think on what I've told you. We'll talk then, to see if your stance on employment has changed. Why the fuck does he think my stance on employment would just randomly change? Has he not listened to a word I just said? It's almost like. I scowl, glancing over at Capita. Conimancer. Holy shit. If she's messed with Lynn or Rowan's souls, I'm going to fucking shatter her. After I make her spend a few days as one of Penelope's rats. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about, I lie. Goodbye, Mr. Sky. I don't wait to be dismissed, turning and exiting the absurd throne room. Conimancer. Conimancer. Didn't I just demonstrate I'm not going to be affected by that, though? Is the week all about giving Capita more time to prepare something for me? Is she going to go after the kids? My team? Shit, shit, shit. I need to figure something out. I stalk angrily down the hallway, Squigs and Friggs effortlessly keeping up with me. I can just tell Penelope about it, warn her who to look out for. The rest of the team, not so much. Not unless I want to field questions like how do you know? And why aren't we calling the Templars? Obviously, I can't call on the Templars because they'll wonder how I discovered an Animancer, which, hello. A cheerful woman's voice announces, startling me by slamming open a door nearby and working out. It's Capita, because of course it is. How the fuck did she get ahead of me without me noticing? Was I just not paying attention? You leave the dragon's lair, its owner pleased and infuriated in equal measure. Capita trills, falling in step with me and dismissing Squigs and Friggs with a single motion. Aha! A work of art you are, beautiful and true. The two assassins depart without a word as I give a very confused glare in this strange-souled Conimancer's direction. Sheesh, I didn't think I ate that much of her soul. Did I break you or something? I ask. Capita just laughs. Broken I am, but not from you. Come, a work of art, she who sees further. I wish to speak with you. I'm starting to see why your boss never had you say anything yourself. Aha. As quick of wit as you are of spirit, a work of art. That was not a joke, but okay. I sigh, exiting the Draken's home base and staring up at the dull, yellow sky. Capita continues to follow me, which is still annoying even though it's exactly what I was hoping she would do. My name isn't work of art, I insist. It's Vita. Yes. Life you are, and a life you continue to be. With a tumor that holds me whole, I felt it when we touched. The grandest work of art, indeed. I can't tell if you're insane or just being purposefully obtuse, I grumble, cutting down an alley that will take us far from any prying eyes and ears. Capita grins a disturbing show of teeth, just a single step from laughter. One does not preclude the other, a work of art. I glower at her, continuing to move further away from witnesses. Her soul might be bigger than mine, but if she was supposed to kill me she would have done it in the room with everyone else. If she is supposed to come and see me, well, she already tried. What do you want? I ask plainly. What does anyone want with a work of art? She giggles. To admire. Have you messed with my family's souls, Conomancer? I growl. She tilts her head, staring with a confusion which I can't tell is real or fake. Of course I have, a work of art. Such is my duty. I whirl on her immediately. I'm already right up in her face, so I draw my knife, tentacle-assisted limbs moving the blade to her neck in an instant. She stiffens, her muscles tensing. But she doesn't move away, her smile firmly in place. Can you not fix them yourself? She taunts. Alas, a work of art yet unfinished. You have need of a palette, then, even one so smeared as myself. Maybe, I hiss, pressing the knife further. But I don't need you alive for it. Ah, she murmurs, pulling ever so slightly back. Then you do not need me dead, either. I will undo what I have done. It is not much, this one is no artist. You think I'm letting you near them again off her leash? I snap. She somehow grins even wider, and I have only the barest instant to recognize the feeling of a talent activating in one of the halves of her soul. I'm too slow, and suddenly she's gone, appearing behind me before I know what's happening. There was no movement, no interposing time. She's not just fast like Remus or Lynn. She was simply in one place, and then another. I whip tentacles her way but only have slight purchase on her soul, and in the time it takes me to turn around her palm is out and her other half is charging its own talent at my face. What the fuck is this bullshit? Is she tri-talented? Oh, how beautiful. She coos. I see you when we touch, a work of art. Eye of sapphire and arms of steel. Shut up, I hiss, pulling and squeezing at her being. What are you? Let go, she requests softly. Breaking you is not a crime I would relish. Her hand is still poised to do whatever her third talent is supposed to do, but she hasn't truly activated it, just readied it. It's clearly a peace offering, either because it's a bluff and her talent isn't even offensive, or because she genuinely has no desire to use it on me. Other than anger and paranoia, which to be fair, I have plenty to spare for this lady, I don't actually have much reason to risk going for the throat. I pull my knife and tentacles back, though I keep both ready. What are you? I ask again. Guess, she taunts jovially, stepping back and twirling in a circle. I do have a guess. While I have little to go off of, the clues fit. She's got animancy abilities, she looks like two souls got smashed and stitched together, and of course she seems nuttier than a bag of almonds. Are you a splice? I ask. A splice. She giggles, nodding happily. 'Tis what the zealots call me, though it is a cruel name for sketches such as I to speak so little of why we suffer, to not intimate the purposeful we discarded failures. Cruel, a cruel name it is. Yet I forgive you, a work of art. I always shall. She pats me happily on the head, though I slap her arm away immediately. You fucked with my family's souls, I accuse. Indeed. She agrees. But for you, a work of art, I shall happily unfuck. She leans in close to my ear, putting a hand to her mouth and stage whispering at a normal volume. It will be our little secret, she whispers. The clouds need not tell the sky. But this is all I will deny him for you. The work of art should join him, yes. Join him, or join you. I grunt. Is he not just your puppet? Someone to draw attention away from the real leader? For the first time, Capita's grin drops. She looks directly at me, her face dead serious. No, she answers, firmly and clearly. Never. Sky is. He is. She waves her arms around vaguely, the moment of lucidity ending as soon as it arrived. A smile plasters itself back on her face in an instant. "Join," she insists, a sing-song cadence returning to her tone. "The rot of the city will be cut out, for life to grow in its place. There will be a place for life and art, and a lively work of art you are. But first, I scratched your favorite toys, so I must fix them. My family aren't toys," I growl. "Ah!" she exclaims, grinning brightly. "Family. Yes. That's the word I was forgetting before. How easily so many things fall through the crack, yes?" She pats her belly over where her soul rests, the purple, animancy-talented goop in the middle oozing out the broken bits like pus. Toy or not, though, I gave them a scratch. Just a scratch. I am incapable of much else. Just a paper cut of the soul. Yet how paper hurts. A fearsome weapon, employed properly. Come, come. I will show you, you will see. She starts wandering off in a different direction, all but skipping as she does. I scowl, following from behind. I almost fucked up here, didn't I? I crushed this girl's attempts at conomancy and forgot to worry if she had other tricks up her sleeve. "Where are we going?" I ask. "The casino, of course." Capita crows. "The great and terrible devourer of wealth. You wish to see your kinomancer, and he is there." I scowl. "Really? At the casino right now? How convenient. So you're going to get rid of his gambling addiction, then?" Capita raises an eyebrow at me. "Did you not wish him unfucked?" Yes. She shakes her head. The swirling rainbow did not receive his love of numbers and odds from me, nor did I place in him a burning need to recover what he rightfully lost. No. I have only given him what I give all across the sky. And what would that be? I ask. She grins. Terror, the conomancer answers, of the inevitable fall. Chapter 56. Is that the place? I ask, pointing towards an utterly nondescript building in front of us. Indeed, a work of art. Your vision sees true. I frown, nodding without looking in Capita's direction. It's easy to guess the right building since I can feel Roan's soul underneath it. Roan markets his street cons as games of skill partially to draw arrogant customers, but mostly because gambling is illegal in Skyhope. There's little question that the casino is owned and operated by the Drakens, and it makes as much sense to me as anything that the place would be hidden underneath what looks like some kind of warehouse. I sigh, heading towards the entrance with what feels like stone in my legs. I'm not at all looking forward to talking with Rowan about this. It just... How could he betray us like this? How could he piss our money away when we're starving to death? I could almost understand Lynn doing it, but Rowan? He's supposed to be the responsible one, the smart one, the cautious one. He's supposed to know right from wrong. I'm the one that made a promise to him, but it feels like he's the one that broke our agreement. With Capita leading the way, we have no trouble entering the warehouse or the secret area underneath it. The main floor itself seems to be actually used for its intended purpose, with members of the Drakens moving around crates of who knows what inside. The pink-haired woman is instantly recognized by the gang members, who step aside without question. A palpable fear fills the halls wherever we walk, the people who see her apparently wishing they didn't. I get the impression that you're not really well liked around here, I comment. The sky is beautiful till it rages, destroying all that tempted that fearsome wrath. Capita shrugs lightly, her smile casual. Joyful are those that see the sky once the storm clears, but never is the lightning loved. I nod, doing my best to pick up on the pink-haired monster's non-stop metaphors. As humid as it is, we don't get much rain here, let alone thunderstorms. I do remember a couple, and I'm frankly quite glad we didn't get them more often. Rain is awful when you're homeless. It chills you to the bone and forces you to choose between taking fights for a shelter that you might not win or risking a cold that hungry bodies can't afford to have. Evidently, the majority of our water comes from vast underground reservoirs deep within the stone of the island. One of the hunters told me that part of why the forest is so damn hard to clear is because the roots of the major plants dig all the way down to it. Even if Gladra the Annihilator scoured 1,000 acres into ash, the majority of the plants wouldn't even be dead. Just trimmed, for maybe a week at best. It would probably kill a lot of monsters, though, which sounds handy enough to me. Oh, well. I hardly mind the easy souls in the forest nearby. Better than letting the Watcher get them. Soon enough, we climbed down into the warehouse basement, opening a pair of dutifully guarded doors, revealing colorful land of excessive opulence. A massive room stretches out before us, kinemancey enchantments dotting every surface with color. Rows of card tables are stretched out next to a bar selling alcohol for cheap, many of them look to catch dice as well. All sorts of crazy luck games are scattered around, from wheel spinners to a weird ball-dropping game to a few tables I can barely divine the purpose of. Off at the far end I spot a stage on which a half-dozen barely dressed women are dancing in confusing ways that I think are somehow supposed to be sexy. Opposite to them is a similar stage for equally undressed men performing equally confusing dances, though I find myself staring idly that way regardless. One part of me is thoroughly annoyed by how much another part of me enjoys the sight. My fascination doesn't last long, though. The dancers have such shriveled, underdeveloped souls that I soon tear all three of my eyes away from them in disgust. Countless numbers of far more interesting people are here anyway. A few positively massive souls dot the tables and bar, some of which are dressed in such fancy outfits that I suspect Penelope might bow to a few of them. There's no way there aren't at least a few nobles in this building, possibly even true nobles. And with Capita frequenting this place. Do you see it, a work of art? Capita asks, flashing a lazy grin. My incision is small, but it will not have healed as soon. Oh yeah, Rowan. I pull my attention away from all the new sights and souls to focus on the beautiful prismatic spirit of a betrayer. Rowan sits at one of the tables, glancing at his current hand with a perfectly neutral expression on his face. I ignore the anger bubbling inside me for now, taking a deep and detailed look at his soul. At first, I see nothing out of the ordinary. His spirit is colorful, beautiful, and as far as I can see, untouched. I scowl and take a deeper look, pushing my senses to the inside, forcing myself to understand his spirit as more than the simple, pretty-looking orb it appears as to my senses. There is more to a soul than that, after all. A folded, maze-like complexity of depth and nuance waits just beneath the surface, always there for me to see, but so far beyond my capacity to understand that I barely ever bother. My power, after all, is intuitive. I don't know how it works or why it feels the way it does. I'm granted no insight and no satisfaction in pushing my senses to that level of detail, so why should I try? I could spend a day this deep in someone's spirit and have nothing to show for it. It doesn't feel like a proper part of what I am, just an added detail that I happen to be capable of by coincidence. I eat and I control, but this? I don't resonate with this. Now I have a good reason to do it anyway. I scour the inside of Rowan's soul, my senses flitting through pathways and directions alien to the understanding of my physical body. I know what I'm looking for, if Capita's description is to be believed. A cut. A crack. A chasm. Sure enough, I eventually find it. The slightest deformity, a tiny opening I'd never have seen had I not been looking for it. The walls of the wound glow ever so slightly purple, the same color as Capita's threads. I see it, I murmur. Now fix it. Yes, yes, I shall. Capita agrees happily. And you shall watch, a work of art. Come, come. Play with us. She grabs my arm and starts dragging me towards Rowan's table. Hey. Let go of me. I demand. My superior you may be, but my master you are not. Capita laughs. Come, you will play. Play and understand. I don't even know how to play cards. I protest. Then learn. Capita yanks me into the chair next to Rowan, to his immediate shock and confusion. She sits at the table as well, grinning giddily as she holds two fingers up at the staff member with the deck. Deal us both in, please. 2 more for the game. The 3 other players at the table take one look at Capita and drop their cards on the table, pulling out of the game immediately. They quickly gather their things and leave, while the attendant looks like he wishes he could do the same. Miss Capita? Rowan stutters, sweat forming on his forehead as he fails to hide his growing fear. Vita? What are you? Why are you both? My cards are good cards. Capita announces loudly, glancing at her hand as the threads of her soul snake slowly in Rowan's direction. What have you, a work of art? Dare you bet your cards are better? I literally just told you, I have no idea how to play this. Capita laughs. The game is as easy as life itself. You must bet if your cards are better, or pay to draw if they are worse. I'm not paying you anything. Besides, how am I supposed to know if my cards are better or worse than yours? I demand. You don't. Capita says happily. Did I not just explain? The game is as easy as life. Vita, what are you even doing here? Rowan interjects, gawking at us. I was planning to ask you the same thing, I snap back. Capita smacks some money down on the table, looking at the dealer while pointing in my direction. Tokens for that one, she orders. Bet them, a work of art, that I may win them back. I glower at her, watching with my third eye as her threads silently push into Rowan's soul. My full attention is on ensuring she does nothing other than fix that gap, and sure enough all her threads seem headed that way, snaking ever so carefully through the impossibly complex pathways that comprise the inside of his being. Though when the staff member running the table takes Capita's money and hands me cheap wooden tokens in their place, I deign to look at my cards as well. I suppose I don't mind betting if it's going to be with her money. Vita, why are you here? Rowan demands again. You shouldn't be in this kind of place. Oh, so, you know that, and yet you're here anyway. I grumble. How much of our money have you lost today? I've made money, Todd. No, wait. This is none of your business. Why are you here with the second in command of the Dragons? To play King's Dominance. Capita interrupts testily. Now declare dominance or pay to draw. Rowan sighs, the tiny gap in his soul pulsing slightly as he weighs his need to know with his fear of refusing Capita. No prize for guessing which one he goes with. Bah, whatever. I get the impression that he needs to be nearby for Capita to undo her magic, so a card game is as good an excuse to keep him in place as any. Dominance. Rowan relents, putting a card face up on the table. Dominance. Capita parrots, putting a card from her own hand face up. Dominance I guess, I say, picking a random card and putting it face up as well. Ooh, a 4 coin. Capita coos. Bad hand. I challenge your dominance. During this farce, Capita's soul threads had reached the scratch in Rowan's soul, slowly but surely teasing the purple glow out from around it. Where the foreign glow is removed, the scratch heals itself naturally, closing up on its own. As Capita heals what she's done, I start actually picking up some rules of this watcher-forsaken game. King's Dominance uses a standard set of cards, each of which has a number from 1 to 10 and a symbol, sword, word, fire, or coin. Your hand is worth the sum of all the card values in it, and you get a bonus in value if you hold multiple of the same symbol. But you also put yourself at risk, as certain symbols counter other symbols. If you focus on one, you stand to gain the highest values but have the biggest weaknesses. Sword is like an assassin, I guess, so it kills the guy writing the word, Rowan explains. Word controls public opinion and incites or prevents riots or whatever, so it beats fire. Fire burns wealth to nothing and beats coin, and coin controls your capacity for war, so it beats sword. Or something like that. Wait, is sword supposed to be an assassin, or a whole war? Both? Kind of. Just don't think about it too much. The fucking stupid part of the game is that to draw more cards, you have to pay every other player based on the number of cards they have face up in front of them. Those cards are still part of their hand, which gives you insight on which cards to hang on to if you want to beat them. After a certain point, however, players that keep winning can eventually construct hands that are so good, it barely matters whether or not they are revealing the entire thing. By the time you construct something to beat them, You've already paid them more money than you could ever possibly get back. The entire experience is annoying, confusing, and ridiculous. I don't see the appeal of it at all. When Capita finishes her soul surgery, I drop my cards on the table. Okay, that's it. I'm done playing. Ah. A wise surrender, Capita compliments. Next round, then. No, I mean I'm done playing King's Dominance. Silly work of art, Capita chides, smiling thinly. You were always playing King's Dominance. I roll my eyes, double and triple checking that the part of Rowan's soul Capita had manipulated is firmly returned to normal, with nothing else added. It looks good to me, and to reassure myself I start looking around at various other members of the Drakens that work in the casino. Sure enough, a good chunk of them have similar purple-tinted scratches, signs that Capita instilled something of her choosing deep inside their minds. What strikes me is how invariably tiny her changes are, each and every one so minuscule it's nearly impossible to notice. Yeah, I think I've waited patiently long enough, Rowan snaps, tossing his own cards back at the dealer in a huff. He's not as afraid anymore. Fancy that. Miss Capita, what are you two doing here? Why are you with Vita? I thought your deal with Lynn was to leave our family alone. Fear not, little gambler. Your daughter is uncoerced, unharmed, unimpeded, and in regards to our offer, unconvinced. It is against no deal to ask a simple question, and certainly against no deal to correct a simple lie. What? Rowan glares down Capita and I as if we're the ones doing something bad here, and it almost makes me want to sock him in the jaw. Why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to call out the person that's supposed to be the one supporting me? The Drakens tried to hire me, I explain, scowling up at him. I said I didn't want to join the people extorting my family, and they said they never extorted you. That you fucking gambled it away. And here I am, finally back from risking my life outside the walls, the first time we've seen each other in almost a month, and where do I find you? In a goddamn casino. Vita, I had no idea you'd gotten No, I snap, cutting him off. That doesn't even matter, Rowan. Come on, we're going home. Huzzah. Capita cheers. To see the home that houses such a glorious, you are not coming. I growl, turning on the Conomancer. And I'm checking Lynn next I see her. I'd better not find any evidence of your bullshit. Her smile drops, another moment of apparent lucidity flashing on her face. Best hope you do find it, a work of art, Capita answers solemnly. I cannot heal that which is scarred over. Toad continued. Thanks for listening.